everybody. This is Lance Pugmire with Seven Gables Real Estate. You may have known me previously as a 30-year reporter at the Los Angeles Times and USA Today. So I want to mesh the best of both worlds here. As a reporter, I'm out in the streets, and as a realtor, I'm crossing paths with a lot of interesting people. And right away, I was finishing a run the other day and preparing for a half marathon, and I crossed paths with Jimmy Hemsley of Huntington Beach, who is a dynamic figure. Jimmy, we met right before New Year's Eve, and I had been out on the boardwalk doing a 9-mile run, preparing for this half marathon in Arizona that I'm going to run next week. And I came in, I was all exhausted, grabbing a cup of coffee at 6:02 and just relaxing. And I overheard you talking to some young surfers, and you were saying to them, actually, the best way to stay in shape, the best way to live as long as I've lived, is to surf and play tennis. So there was part of me that was kind of shattered after all the running that I had just done, and kind of realized that maybe that's not the best way to extend my life for my children and my grandchild who was just born.
Yeah.
But for you, what have you gotten out of surfing these local waves for so many years?
Oh, God. It's just hard to put into words. It's just been such an inimitable part of my life, before I got hit on my bike by a high school girl in her car about a year ago. So she took all that away. But up until that time, I was 91 at the time, and I surfed every day, daily.
Oh my gosh.
And I still did all these things. I played an amazing amount of golf and did an awful lot of running on the boardwalk down there and what have you. So my life has been a continuous run of athletic things, and it's just kept me going.
Yeah, I mean, you said something very interesting that day when I overheard your conversation, and you said, I'm the first surfing coach in California. Tell
Yeah,
us about this. What
yeah.
happened?
I got it all started because back at that time in the 60s, oddly enough, even a lot of teachers, just good people and what have you, surfer kids had a bad reputation at that time. And they weren't part of the organized sports regime of the high schools and so on, and they were looked down on. So I had to battle for quite a few years with people in general and other teachers and just everybody to finally get the surfer kids accepted as regular kids within the school, that they deserve the same look at. They had a different interest.
Yeah. So at that time, you were a calculus
Yeah, I was an
instructor
AP calculus
at
teacher.
Newport Harbor High School.
Yeah, but I was also a football and track coach.
Okay.
I coached the shot putters, and in track, and I was a head football coach for a while at Estancia High School, an assistant there at Harbor for quite a few years, and so I was involved in sports in many ways all through my life.
You knew how to form a team. Now, this was what year?
Oh God, my own memory.
Early 60s?
This was probably around 62 on up in that area. I'm just making a quick guess, but
so at that point, the Beach Boys are on the radio.
Oh yeah,
Jan and Dean, right?
Yeah.
So all these surf bands. What was it like to start that program? I mean, to make surfing, quote unquote, organized.
It was a big battle because so many of the teachers and everybody were against surfers at that time in life. But because I never quit and I kept finding ways to incorporate those kids in with the rest of the school, that eventually they became accepted and became a good part of the school.
What did you think of those kids? Well, if others were thinking that maybe they were shady or
jackasses is what people took them on as back at those, but I knew they weren't because I'd been one myself all my life.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I was an AP calculus teacher.
Yeah.
And highfalutin baloney. And many other things within the school district there that I did. But I think the best thing I ever did for kids in my life was that somewhere between 5 and 10 years where I slowly got the rest of the people, the kids, the faculty, the community and what have you, to finally accept the surfer kids as just regular kids that like something a little different than the other kids.
Yeah, it's, when we were just talking about this, I think it's so interesting for people who are not involved in surfing on their daily basis. It's been so cold here recently, and I was in awe this morning when I went out to run to see the surfers. They're not worried about anything. They jump right into the water despite those frigid temperatures. What is it that allows the waters of Huntington Beach to attract so many of our youth?
Well, probably the main thing about it, it has the most consistent run of real good size up to huge size surfing waves of anywhere along the coast.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of good places, San Onofre down in the areas down south and up around Ventura, and I've surfed them all the way clear up to Oregon, what have you. And I spent my whole life surfing, and I surfed all the great places, and I surfed, I was probably pro level, even though I never surfed pro. My daughter did.
Okay.
That I never did surf pro, but I think I surfed pro level when I was a younger guy. I surfed many a 40, 50-foot wave.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a place on Maui, for 30 years of our life, and being teachers, both of us, we'd spend our whole summers over there in Hawaii, and even in the summer, see, over there they get big waves. So I spent my life safe surfing waves all the way from 20 to 60 feet, and could handle them all by the time I got good.
You spoke about being involved in all of these other sports that you've been involved in, but you said nothing compares to surfing. I wonder,
Not to me.
is there a way to communicate what it's like to be in the midst of, a major wave like you just described? What is it? What is that thrill all about that keeps people coming back and back?
If I had to put it in my own words, and I've been an athlete.
Mhm.
I've just all of them. I had a little quick shot at pro football, and I've done I played an awful lot of really good high level baseball and so on and so my whole life. None of those sports compare to the real thrill and enjoyment you get out of surfing. It's an inimitable thing, and you can't know it unless you've done it. And we owned our place over there on Maui for 30 years, and both being teachers, would spend all summer over there. And, I don't know how many 40, 50, 60-foot waves I've surfed in my life. And just think of all the stuff I've done. And a near pro football life, and all the baseball I've played. Oh God, I played a level of baseball. It was, I'm back. I was a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
And I've always been, and I played high levels of all those things. None of them compare to what you get out of catching a 20, 30, 40-foot wave. It's just a special thing in life that I'm glad that I didn't miss.
Yeah, I know, like in the terms that we use today, or at least the kids use today, they are going to refer to you as an OG, which is basically like an old school figure that has been around surfing since day one. For you, you just talked about it. I mean, you get to cross paths throughout Huntington Beach with some of your former students.
Yeah.
You see a lot of young surfers out there who we saw at 602. They would stop and really kind of pick your brain about surfing and the things that you've witnessed. Now that you're trying to recover from this leg injury, and I think it's going to be a couple weeks before you can get back in the water. What is that going to be like for you?
Oh God, you can't even put it in words. I'm looking so forward to getting back on my board. I have an old, original old Velzy Jacobs, big old 11-foot. Back before they even had foam boards.
Mhm.
Back, it was my original board, and it's still hanging in my backyard. Well, I'm going to get on that old sucker, that old balsa board, and it'll be like being a young guy starting all over again. It's just, there's nothing you can't beat surfing to me.
Yeah.
That's the thrill of my life, surfing, sports wise.
And we were talking about this before. I'm not the best surfer, but I do remember from my surfing days that people would kind of respect the elders or the better surfers, and you kind of had your own lane to deal with, right? They would give you your space,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, let that guy go.
They
He's
always
super
did.
talented.
It was always that way.
What is it like for you at age 93 to be able to get back in that water? Will they give you your own space and say, let the old guy have one great
I
couple of
know
rides there?
I know so many people now at my age. I've been in athletics and everything for so long, and they all know me as not just surfing, but the football I was involved in and everything else, that they kind of always show me respect for some reason. And when I'm out there paddling into a wave, I know the other guys will pull out of my way. They'll just give me the wave. That's the way it's been in the past. And it's been a couple of years now after my accident since I've been out there.
Yeah.
But if I get out there again, I'm sure I'll get that respect again.
What is it that you enjoy the most about the feeling of surfing? I mean, is it the fact that you've done it since the age of 6, that it's just never changed? The world has changed in 90 over the
Yeah.
course of 87 years between 6 and 93, but that hasn't changed. Does that mean a lot to you?
Oh, it sure does. But I think of other sports people. I think of these great skaters that get out there and they skate those bowls and do these various things. They never get tired of that next loop or what have you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it is with surfing.
Uh-huh.
I don't care how many you've caught or what ones you've caught. Man, as soon as you get up on that board again and take off and whip up on that lip and drop down that, it's like the first time you did it. Every damn time you do it, to me, it's like my first time. It's such a neat thing in life.
I'm sure some of these people watching it will have the same question. And that is, what would you say the secret to life is? Do you think that surfing has been your secret to a long life?
No, it's helped.
Okay.
My secret to life, it's just been a positive attitude to people, and a lot of it has been some of the greatest things in my life that I look back at, and I've written about these in my memoir.
Okay.
And that's to have found some little kids when I was teaching at Harbor High School as a teacher that were lost and were screwed up completely, and to take them under my shoulder and bring them back around to where I'm sorry, it makes me cry to think about it. Some of the neatest things in my life are not all these sports goddamn things I've done, but it's things like that to help little kids.
Yeah, it means the world. And I know that every parent who has sent their child to you, is appreciative for that extra time that you have spent. I mean, so many of us can look back and
So important.
thank our teachers. Good teachers, there's nothing better than. And I know you also wanted to mention your wife, Gloria, who you've been married to for 63 years.
Yeah.
And what an angel that she is in your life too. What is the key to a successful marriage?
I think is commitment to each other, unrelented. She just does everything in the world she can for me and the family. And she's the best human being I've ever come across. Counting everybody. She's just unbelievable. But I try to match her, but I can't be as good as her. But to give yourself to others. Piss on me. Do what you can for the little kid, the neighbor that needs it, or the old guy on the street that's lying there half dead, or whatever. To give to other people and help them along a little bit, or help them out of a little crutch or something like that. That's what makes my wife and my life good for us.
I think the beautiful thing about your sport and the beautiful thing about your life that you've cultivated for yourself here in Huntington Beach is just the pureness of sort of the timeless things that you're involved in, whether it's surfing or the way you treat people. I was thinking about this because outside the water over time, so much has changed in our world, right?
Oh, I know
Think
it.
about where you were when you first got in the water at age 6 versus where we are in our world now
Yeah, what a
at 93. And you were talking about how it even goes back to your family, where your granddaughter, whose family has origins in Mexico, has called you not just Jimmy, but says, "Hey, the translation of that
Yeah.
is Jaime," and I like to call you Jaime as well. When you think about how the consistency of your life has just remained unchanged, even as the chaotic world around us changes each and every day, what is there to be said about just showing up every day and being the same person, being the same quality person regardless of everything that's out there in the ether?
The appreciation I have more than anything else is how my folks brought me up to be this person, to care about others. Always first, do whatever you can for the other guy, whether, and they taught me at such a young age. I was doing it for my friends and other little kids as a little guy. And it just became part of my character to do what I can for others, thanks to the way my folks taught me and brought me up. And so that's been the biggest part of my life. And the things you give out and give to others and do for others, and then see the response, how you've done something good for them and they've been able to get the good out of it and so on, reflects on you twice as much. It makes you just feel so great, at least me.
Yeah.
That's what makes my life.
Yeah.
That's why I'm about to cry again right now.
It has sustained you. It has sustained you. It has allowed you to live all of these years, you believe?
It's made my life.
Yeah.
Doing for others. Boy, I can remember a couple of kids in LA, God, when I was growing up there in Highland Park, and a couple of kids down on the corner of York Boulevard where we were selling papers and everything. The two guys got in a fight and they were at each other's fanny, and I got them broken up. And just to make the story short, in the course of breaking them up and getting them apart and then talking to them, and the three of us later became friends. And I look back, and the people that work, in fact, my mom worked in the drugstore there at the Fountain, and all the people that work there know all this story, and they kind of helped push the story even further. And they eventually started calling us the Three Musketeers.
Oh my gosh.
And we started off with a fight,
There you go.
and I changed those two kids around. And the three of us became the best of friends, and right on into adulthood. And it's been about 15 years since I've seen them now. But that was one of the neatest things in my life.
You've been in Huntington Beach for so long, and I know, like I said, just running along the boardwalk or maybe going on a bike ride and stopping at one of the tables to watch the sunset, there's just something about it that is so fulfilling to your soul. You can just feel it. You may have had a stressful day, but you can just go and relax and reflect on, the day's events and what you want to do next. And it just gives you a peace of mind. For you, is it the people? Is it the weather? Is it the surfing, your family, your home? That's
a combination of all
that makes Huntington so special to you.
It's a combination of those things. Of course, the family is number one. I had, such a great family. My wife is unbelievable. She spends every inch and minute of her life doing things for others, and she's brought my kids up, and they're the same way. And there's no pleasure like seeing your kids become good people. And so I'm just the luckiest guy in the world, the life I lead, because of the people I'm associated with, mainly family, but friends too. We have some great friends, and my wife is the kind of person that people can look at her carefully and say, God, I'd like to be like her. And so some of her goodness rubs off on our different friends, and I've seen some of them take up some of her qualities they didn't have when we first met them and so on. So those things are neat.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think in having this conversation and talking as we have, it becomes crystal clear that you're a man who looks forward to each new day as it comes, and you're excited and enthused about
Absolutely.
That I'm certain that that's important as to why you have made it to 93, but there's still a bigger number looming out there. Do you want to accomplish before you turn 100?
I don't think of it very often in much those ways. I just go along with my life and just continually try to be the best person I can be, and I think we brought our kids up to where they're the same type of people, but I keep my eyes on them. And whenever I see a little thing where maybe I could talk to them about, maybe improve some little thing about them, I do that. And,
Yeah.
and so it's those kind of things, those positive things in life.
Are you at peace with the contributions that you've made upon this world?
Yeah, I am. Because I know that's Gloria and I both. I have a long ways to go to compete with her on that, but we both contribute to others any way we can. That's the crux of life to us, is giving. Giving, and by giving, I mean mainly to other people in any way we can. If no more than a pat on the back and a smile on the face sometimes. A couple of places in town that we go all the time, and they treat us like family, and vice versa for us.
Yeah.
And so they're neat parts of our life now. And we're caring people and we're giving people, and we've taught a lot of others to be the same way, and that's good.
Great. Jimmy, I got to be honest with you. I mean, Huntington Beach is so lucky to be able to have you in its midst.
Oh,
To
bullshit.
have you here. Yeah, it is. It is. And I hope that anyone who is watching this, when you are out and about in Huntington Beach and you cross paths,
Stop.
Jimmy Hemsley,
Oh,
please, just like I did, and I'm so happy I did. Jimmy, thank you so much for
yeah.
being on with me
Well,
today.
it's my pleasure to be here with you. Just, it's people like you that make me want to keep going.
Thank you, sir. We will see you out on the waves.
Yeah, I hope. I'll get out there again. You watch.